listening to Arrow FM 92.7. My name's Alex Nyman, and this is Jazz Club. You had the unmistakable tenor saxophone voice there of Dexter Gordon, with a wonderful rhythm section there with Barry Harris on the piano, Bob Crenshaw on the bass, the wonderful Billy Higgins on the drums. He's still playing. He's an amazing drummer. And, of course, Bobby Hutcherson there on the vibraphone. And before that, you heard a track off one of my favourite albums from the 50s, a Blue Note album there. And that was a track, it was off Freddie Hubbard album. And the track was called Marie Antoinette. And the tenor soloist on there was, of course, the other unmistakable voice of Wayne Shorter. And yeah, I've got a very good afternoon to you, I should say. And it's an absolutely beautiful day up here in the Wairarapa. And last spring is springing forth and making everything look gorgeous. And it's a real pleasure to bring another couple of hours of beautiful jazz to you from here, the studios here in Masterton, our new studios at the old RNZ building. And boy, it's looking absolutely fantastic. It seems to get better every time I come up next door to me. To my left, I have a full looks like a relaxing suite, and I believe that's Toby's. It's Toby's suite, the technical guru here at the Arrow FM studios here in Masterton, and it's looking absolutely fantastic in there. Sort of place I'd love to go, but I don't think I'll be allowed to because it's Toby's room, and that's all fine with me. So anyway, what have we got coming up for you today? I've got heaps and heaps of fantastic stuff. Miles Davis, Bill Evans, Rosiana Vitro, Jasper Somson Trio, John McLaughlin, Bill Frisell, Chris Potter, Andy Shepherd, Keith Jarrett, Sade Mangarancina, Tia Fuller, Joe Sample, Herbie Hancock. Yeah, there's quite a few. You can see I've been pillaging the archives of Apple Music, their new music that's coming out, and some new, obviously some old. There's always great suggestions there from Apple Music, and I'm always happy to take them on board and listen, because often I get to hear lots of stuff that I haven't heard before, and I hope that you will have the same experience as I do. Anyway, coming up next, now I've played a couple of tracks from this album in the past, and I might have mentioned before that it's a real pleasure to hear somebody that's currently singing, shall we say, pop material, modern pop music, and is very much at the forefront of all of that, and yet still manages to be able to transition to jazz and other musical genres with consummate ease. And somebody who I have the utmost respect for as a singer, as a musician, and that person is Lady Gaga, believe it or not. Yep, Lady Gaga. Boy, can she sing. If you've heard a few tracks from her in the past I played, then you'll know that she can sing, but she can sing jazz so well. She did a fantastic album with the wonderful singer Tony Bennett some time ago, and I'm going to play you a few tracks from that because I just think they're all so good, and this one is called Anything Goes.
In olden days, a glimpse of stalking was looked on as something shocking. Now heaven knows, anything goes.
Good authors too, who once knew better words, now only use four-letter words writing prose. Anything goes. The world has gone mad today, and good's bad today,
And days night today, and black's white today.
and most guys today, that woman prize today.
Are just silly gigolos.
And though I'm not a great romancer,
I know you're bound to answer
when we propose, anything goes. Go!
go. The world has gone mad today.
And good's bad today,
And days nights today.
and black's white today.
And most guys today, the women prize today, are just silly gigolos.
And though we're not such great romancers, we know that we're bound to answer when we propose. you met someone, set you back on your heels. Goody, goody. So you met someone and now you know how it feels. Goody, goody. So you gave him your heart too, just as I gave mine to you.
Stop talking about
and
this
he
stuff.
broke it in little pieces. Now how do you do?
That's really funny,
So you
Tom.
lie awake, singing the blues all night. Goody, goody. So you think that love's a barrel of dynamite.
I told you I'm no goody. I'm a baddie.
Hooray and hallelujah, you had it coming to you.
I think you're funny,
Goody,
huh?
goody for him, goody, goody for me.
Goody goody for you.
And I hope you're satisfied, you rascal, you.
That's real cheeky, Tony.
So you met someone who set you back on your heels.
So what?
Goody, goody. So you met someone and now you know how it feels.
I was confused,
Goody, goody.
you know.
So you gave him your heart too, just as I gave mine to you. And he broke it in little pieces.
I know.
Now how do you do? So you lie awake just singing the blues all night.
Yeah, all night. all
Goody,
night.
goody. So you think that love's a barrel of dynamite.
Yeah, so what sometimes?
Hooray and hallelujah, you had it coming to
Stop
you.
laughing.
Goody, goody for him. Goody, goody for me.
I'm not a goody, I'm a
Your
baddie.
love has been denied. You've been taken for a ride.
What, are you happy
and
now?
I hope you're satisfied, you rascal, you.
Yeah, I'll be fine. Just stop singing that song.
There may be trouble ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance.
Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune, and then
There may be teardrops to shed, so while there's moonlight and music and love and romance,
let's face the music and dance. Take it.
Come on.
Soon we'll be without the moon, humming a different tune, and then there may be teardrops to shed. So while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance, dance. Let's face the music and dance.
So that's Let's Say Face the Music and Dance there from Tony Bennett and Lady Gaga. And that was from their duet album called Cheek to Cheek. And the tracks before that were Goody Goody and, of course, that famous old Cole Porter number, Anything Goes. And that's just a fabulous album. I mean, fantastic big band behind them and just wonderful arrangements. And, of course, those two together are absolute poetry. And I really enjoy it. And you think about the generational gap between the two of them. I mean, there must be let's have a be sort of generous to Tony, probably maybe about 50 years, maybe 45 years between the two of them. And they just sound absolutely wonderful together. most enjoyable. Okay, coming up now, I've got a track by, I haven't played a lot of tracks by Miles Davis, and I'm going to rectify that right now. And this is a wonderful track called Billy Boy. Wonderful Bill Evans there playing Who Can I Turn To? As off an album called Blue in Green. Absolutely marvellous piano player. I don't think I'll ever get tired of listening to Bill Evans. And I think I was thinking about the other piano player who I've played on here quite a lot over the past, about 5 months, 6 months now. And that, of course, is Keith Jarrett. And I know stylistically they're probably, one would consider them to be quite different, but nevertheless, I've always enjoyed. I think probably enjoy Keith Jarrett's playing a little bit more, but it's a pretty fine line between the two. And before that, there was a marvelous track there from Miles Davis with John Coltrane, and that was a track called Billy Boy. And coming up next from my Apple search list this week, I went through and had a real good root around and seeing what was new, looking at people that I hadn't heard before playing, trying out different tracks, and kind of thinking what would work well on my show today. And I came up with this lovely track from Rosiana Vitro, and this is called Remember the Rain.
That makes the willows glow, rain that wakes the dawn in my heart. I know now I am left alone, remembering the rain. Oh. Lately I find myself out gazing at stars, hearing guitars, like someone in love. Sometimes the things I do astound me, mostly whenever you're around me. Lately I feel as though I had wings. I bump into things like someone in love. Each time I look at you, I'm limp as a glove, feeling like someone in love. Lately I find myself out gazing at stars, hearing guitars, like someone in love. Sometimes the things I do astound me, mostly whenever you're around me. I feel as though I had wings. I bump into things like someone in love. Each time I look at you, I'm limp as a glove, feeling like someone in love. I'm in love. Oh, sweet me. Lately I find myself out gazing at stars. I'm hearing guitars like someone in love. Sometimes the things I do astound me, mostly whenever you're around me. Lately I feel as though I had wings. I bump into things like someone in love. Each time I look at you, I'm limp as a glove, feeling like someone in love, in love, in love, in love.
So Rosiana Vitro there with Like Someone in Love. Kenny Werner on piano, better known as, well, not so better known as, but he's quite what we call an avant-garde pianist, sort of plays a lot of outside stuff normally, but as he's proving quite there, he's more than able to play inside as well. And I'm not talking about environmentally, I'm talking about harmonically. And yes, and before that, so we had a beautiful track called Remember the Rain. That was off a Bill Evans album, and was kind of linked to the Bill Evans track before that, which of course was linked to the track before that because that was a Miles Davis track, and sort of Bill Evans was part of the Miles Davis quintet for quite some time. So a nice thread there, if you will. I've got a couple of tracks now coming up, and I'm going to be playing a track from a guy I haven't heard before. Again, another one, and this guy is called Jasper Somson Trio. His name is not Jasper Somson Trio. He is the Jasper Somson Trio playing, and after that is another. There was a Bill Evans thread again. I didn't know, but I actually got a Bill Evans program today, and that's a track called very early, very famous Bill Evans track, and that's going to be featuring. It's played by John McLaughlin. So anyway, this is a standard I've played in various formats before with different bands. A beautiful standard, one of my very, very all-time favourites to play. It's called All the Things You Are, and this is the Jasper Somson Trio. McLaughlin there with Very Early. Beautiful track there from Bill Evans original. And I'm just adjusting my... there we go, that's better. My iPad just went, oops, I don't know what you want me to do. All right, it knows what I want to do now, and I've changed it all, and that's wonderful. Okay, and before that was a track by the Jasper Thompson Trio called a track called All the Things You Are, One-Line Standard. Interesting, John McLaughlin reminds me of the time when I was playing down in Monte Carlo. I was down there for 3 years as part of the band down there at the sporting club and the casino, on and off, and I remember my first period down there with the band. Was wonderful. We played at the casino. Underneath the casino they have a restaurant, and they have a 10-piece band there, and we played every week from was it Tuesdays through to Sundays, and then we had the Monday off. It was a pretty grueling routine, and it never ended, but it was great living in Monte Carlo. And I do remember one day the guitarist, who was a Welsh fellow called Phil Keenan, an absolutely gorgeous chap, and he's still playing, and he's living in Wales, and is an absolutely marvellous chap. And he said to me, he said, Alex, he said, I've heard that John McLaughlin lives at the Rockabella, which are apartments just down near the sporting club, which is another place where we played. And he said, yeah, I'm just going to, see if I can see him. And I thought, right, you're going to see John McLaughlin? I don't think so. Anyway, so Phil, being quite a cheeky sort of chap, went up to the Rockabella apartments, and they're all very private. I think Shirley Bassey's got one floor, and John McLaughlin's got half a floor somewhere else, and there's a Beyond Borg's got a place there. Basically, if you've got lots and lots of money, you can have a place at the Rockabella. So Phil went to the downstairs entry and buzzed John McLaughlin's number, and John sort of said, hello, how can I help you? And Phil said, hello, I'm Phil Keenan, I'm a Welsh guitarist, and I'm from so on and so forth. So basically, John said, oh, fine, okay, yep, come on up. And so Phil went upstairs and had a couple of hours, or 2 or 3 hours with John McLaughlin in his studio, his apartment. And apparently he was all dressed in white and flowing robes and everything else. And Phil just sat down with him for a few hours and had a lovely chat and kind of a mini lesson, I guess, to a certain extent. But I would have just sat there and listened to John playing. Maybe he did that, I don't know. But he was pretty starstruck, and I don't blame him either. I think I would have been as well. John McLaughlin is an awesome guitarist, and it's what can I say? Absolutely wonderful experience. I'm sure. I wish I'd have done it myself. So anyway, coming up now, yes, we have. Talking of guitarists, and here's another one. This is Bill Frisell and Fred Hirsch, and their track "My One and Only Love," and I'm going to dovetail that into "Just As I Am," which is a track from one of my very, very favourite saxophone players called Chris Potter. So coming up now, Bill Frisell and Fred Hirsch with "My One and Only Love." Chris Potter there on bass clarinet, not his usual tenor saxophone or alto or soprano, but on the bass clarinet and sounding absolutely amazing. And of course, able to play the instrument and have an instantly recognizable sound on it, which is pretty wonderful, with especially with the bass clarinet. Gorgeous tune. Absolutely, I haven't heard that before. Really, I haven't heard that tune before, I should say. And before that, you heard Bill Frisell and Fred Hirsch with My One and Only Love. Coming up, I have a couple of tracks. I've got first one is by English saxophone player, I should say, and his name is Andy Shepherd. He's been around for quite some time now, and still going extremely strong. And one of his, he was very famous for being one of the breakthrough saxophone players of his generation. I guess my generation to a certain extent in the UK in the 80s. Brought jazz to the fore, along with fellow saxophone player Courtney Pine, who I think it's actually Sir Courtney Pine now. I'm sure it'll probably be Sir Andy Shepherd at some point. And those two guys, I wouldn't say single-handedly, because they didn't do it single-handedly, but they certainly forged ahead with British jazz and created a lot of space there for up-and-coming musicians from that generation and the guys thereafter. And it's been fantastic. And so, anyway, this is a track from Andy Shepherd's quartet. I'm going to try and pronounce the title of it. I was looking at it backwards. It doesn't make any more sense to me than it does forwards. Aodi Nadine Karal Edir. I'm sure that would mean something to somebody. Unfortunately, I don't understand that particular language. And after that is a track called Someone to Watch Over Me. And that is, as I mentioned before, my favourite piano player, and that's Keith Jarrett. So first up, here we come with the Andy Shepherd Quartet. Unmistakable voice there of the piano stylings of Keith Jarrett, and gorgeous track called Someone to Watch Over Me from his album called The Melody at Night with You. And before that was a Andy Shepherd quartet, and I won't bother trying to repeat the name of that particular track because, quite frankly, I can't, so I won't bother. And after coming up next, I've got a couple more tracks now from somebody else who's got a name that's particularly tricky to pronounce, and it's a Mangiarasina, Shade Mangiarasina. I think I got that right there. Okay, cool. If I haven't, Shade Mangiarasina, please write in or phone or do something, text me, email me, and let me know that I pronounced your name wrong. Hopefully I haven't pronounced it too wrong. And coming up after that, I've got a track, and I've played a couple of tracks from this particular lady in the past. She's a fantastic saxophone player. She's an educator over in the States, and her name is Tia Fuller. She's a wonderful saxophone player, and I'm quite happy to play as many tracks from her as I possibly can get on the show. And just to let you know that if you're not aware of it, Michael Wilson, the big boss, if you will, of the Arrow FM team, he's currently over in the States and having a wonderful holiday over there, I sincerely hope. And I doubt very much if he bothers to listen to the show. But being over there on holiday, I'm not sure that I would. But if you are listening, Michael, at some point, please know that I send you my best wishes, and I hope you're having a fantastic time there with your wife, Jo, and your son, I believe, is over there. Yep, and I hope you're all having a wonderful time. Anyway, let's get on with the show. And so here's that track from, this is called Amelia, and this is actually featuring Greg Osby, another fantastic saxophone player, Shade Mangiarasina, Amelia. Peter Fuller there, American saxophone player, and a track called Crowns of Grey, and that was from her album called Diamond Cut. And before that, we had a track from Sade. I was going to say it one more time, Mangiarasina, Sade Mangiarasina. And that was a track called Amelia, featuring American saxophonist Greg Osby. And as usual with my programs, there always appears to be a lot of saxophone players. Well, sorry, it's just one of those things. I don't do it on purpose. It just seems that saxophone players are quite prevalent throughout jazz and appear on lots and lots of tracks, and it's very difficult sometimes to get away from them. And anyway, so that must be about the mellowest 45 minutes of music I think I've ever played in the last 6 months. So I'm going to try and sort of ramp it up a little bit if that was possible. And I'm going to go back in time a little bit now. This is a track from Joe Sample, and it's called U-Turn. Bob Berg with Friday Night at the Cadillac Club. And Bob Berg, one of the most awesome saxophone players in the history of jazz. Unfortunately, he died about 5-6 years ago. Very sad passing that. That was a truly momentous saxophone player, incredible intensity whenever he played, so much energy. And that was the very first track I ever heard of Bob Berg, I'm ashamed to say, because he was actually playing in the 50s with I think Cedar Walton, and was pretty much a straight-ahead saxophone player throughout his whole career. He did have a huge drug problem, unfortunately, and but he got over that, which was a good thing. And going on into the 80s, and I remember listening to that first track, I had the Friday Night at the Cadillac Club, listening to that on my Sony Walkman as I was walking around the town, the city where I was born, back in about 1984. Brief visit back to the UK. I remember having a good, quite a number of weeks actually listening to that track. It was very inspirational to me at the time. Learnt solo and all the other bits and pieces to go with it, and played the tune hundreds of times. It's a fantastic track, and sadly missed Bob Berg, wonderful player. And and before that was U-Turn by Joe Sample, and I think pretty much, as from judging from the vocals, I'm pretty sure that was featuring Take Six, the vocal group, amazing band, and I've vocal group, and I've played some of their stuff before for you. Now listen, it's nearly time for me to go. I've got one more track to play, and I've actually got quite a few more tracks to play, but I don't have enough time to play them. So I'm going to try and play you, I think, with a track. This is a relatively new band on the block. They've been around for a wee while actually, but kind of newish, and it's a fantastic band, very kind of interesting setup that they have. I'll tell you more about that maybe next week, and I'll play some more tracks from them, because there's a very inspirational group as well. This is a band called Snarky Puppy, and this is called Tio Macaco. Again, it's been a great pleasure to play this beautiful music for you, and I look forward very much to having your company again next week. And until then, have a great day and see you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.